Securing the Mexican source provided Meech and Terry with almost an unlimited supply of uncut cocaine for a substantially lower price than they could get from any U.S. distributors.
That they were purchasing at the time for $15.5 per kilo, and the BMF organization was moving at least 600 kilos a month.
This allowed them to literally corner the market.
Not every even top-level drug dealer in a major city ever gets to that point. You have to have something special to get the trust of the cartels.
They expanded their enterprise, establishing hubs in 11 states to unload their product. Terry moved to California to receive the bulk shipments, and Meech moved to Atlanta, which was an ideal distribution hub for all of Eastern America.
There's about 10 different highway routes that you can take out of the city to get out of here. And that route going from Florida all the way up through to New York, Philadelphia, and Boston, you got to go through Atlanta to get to those places. It's just physically, it's a great place to be. And also, it's a big enough city and already has enough of a drug culture of its own to provide cover for those people who are moving through the city itself.
Atlanta was definitely becoming a strategic location for the drug trade, but the culture attracted Meech too. By the late 90s, Atlanta had become a hotbed for activity for the hip-hop industry. Rappers were playing the streets with mixtapes, and famed producers like Jermaine Dupri, Outkast, Goody Mob, and Ludacris were attracting national attention. Hip-hop as a business has two very distinct worlds: the streets and the boardroom. As it became mainstream, hip-hop started generating more money than anyone expected. With the connection to the streets comes the element of the criminal underworld. There is no secret that hip-hop record labels were being started with drug money. Jay-Z, for example, has always been honest about his previous life and how he left paper bags filled with cash for radio DJs. Meech, too, was captivated with the allure of the music industry, and as he gained more money and power through his ever-expanding drug empire, he set his sights on conquering a new frontier. When the Detroit DEA decided to investigate the Black Mafia family, they knew the organization was going to be tough to penetrate.
It was such a tight-knit group. There was no way to get somebody in. We could make buys from the underlings, but as far as getting somebody into the organization itself, it wasn't going to happen.
But early on, Bob Bell and his team got a lucky break. Using confidential informants enabled the investigation. They were able to identify a phone number for a BMF manager named Benjamin Johnson. Shortly after, they successfully got a court-ordered wiretap to listen in on his phone calls. After only a few short weeks, the Detroit DEA struck gold.
A couple of weeks into the wiretap, we intercepted a call. We didn't have the person's name, but we immediately knew that it was Terry Flenory by his commanding voice and Benjamin Johnson's respect and deference for Terry.
What up, though? I need you to fly to Florida and drive this car back to Detroit for me.
Okay, when you need me to do that, sir?
As soon as possible.
Okay, that's not a...
Fly to white boy.
Yes, sir.
You gotta drive this car like you got some sense, because a hurricane gonna come that way.
Okay.
We immediately knew we had Terry and knew we had an important phone to target for the next wiretap.
Getting a wire on Terry's phone was the turning point in the DEA's investigation. They had finally infiltrated the inner sanctum. For Meech and Terry to successfully run a nationwide trafficking organization, they needed to establish a protective infrastructure. They set up stash houses in key hub cities, always in other people's names, and usually in mansions and upper-class neighborhoods.
There is something that you get for living in those kinds of neighborhoods, and one of them is it's a safe place, not just in terms of keeping it away from the police, but in terms of keeping it away from other offenders. Somebody knows that you got $9 million worth of drugs in your house. They're gonna come looking for it.
The various stash houses had nicknames. There was the Elevator, the Gate, the White House, and then there was the infamous Space Mountain, a modern multi-million-dollar enclave that had a perfect wraparound driveway for limos to deliver 200 kilograms of cocaine, located in the heart of Buckhead, the wealthiest neighborhood in Atlanta.
Buckhead residents are snooty. They don't like outsiders, but how a large national black organization managed to, with the flash and the bling and the rims and the cars and the girls, how they managed to do this and nobody complained in a neighborhood where they complain if your dog walks on your curb. Even the day we took everything down, we had more people on our backs about that. You know, we were making noise. But it was like, yeah, we made noise, but they never complained about him.
In charge of the stash house was Jabo Brown, Meech's second in command.
Jabo was really just kind of being the general manager of BMF. He would be like at the stash houses when the drugs would arrive. Like Meech would never be in the same room with drugs or anything like that. So it's almost like doing some of the dirty work that Meech really couldn't do or wouldn't do. So he was the guy who was really just running the ships for him.
Another innovation that the two brothers used, which was not all too uncommon, was sophisticated traps in their vehicles to hide the cocaine and the money as they moved city to city.
When you have cars like this and they want to build secret compartments, how does that work?
You have people that sell jewelry for a living. They need to carry around their products. They need to carry around money. Sometimes they have weapons for their personal protection. It varies according to what you want to put into the vehicle. Basically, in a vehicle like this, you know, we could take this entire area. We could take that carpet and we can cut it. We can reattach it to a piece of aluminum and bolt that to a welded enclosure under the vehicle. Then we can make that piece pop open. We can make it motorized up. We can make it airtight. We can make it waterproof. We can make it however you want it, and it would look like there's nothing there. You could take this vehicle back to GM and they wouldn't even know it was there.
They had a Lincoln limo. They had about $1 million in a secret compartment, and no one was able to find this money until 2 years later. They can be built that sophisticated.
Yeah. Every vehicle was a moving trap. They were amazing. I mean, I had to admire their ingenuity.
They had real strict rules about like nobody who's below this level of management can even know how to open the traps that they had installed in these cars to access the drugs. I mean, which would basically be like, okay, put the car in reverse, turn on defrost, hold a magnet up to the dash, and turn on the windshield wiper.
These traps were high-tech, very sophisticated, electronic, hydraulic. Some of them had vacuum pumps in them to try to overcome or thwart drug-detecting canines. It would make it difficult.
We were able to seize a Hummer limo, and notwithstanding the best efforts of law enforcement to find the secret panels, we managed to miss it. I think a year or so later, the man who bought the limo managed to find the $1 million in it.
On a trip to LA in 1999, Meech's dream of breaking into the music industry became possible when he was introduced to a young, aspiring artist named Barima McKnight, who was rapping under the name Blue Da Vinci. They shared a common vision, and Meech took an immediate affection to the young artist. Shortly after, the two founded BMF Entertainment. For the entire lifespan of the record label, Blue Da Vinci was the only artist signed.
What we're focusing on right now is Blue Da Vinci. I believe that most labels take so much time out and focus on so many artists that you can never get the realness out of the one artist because you're focusing on 10 or 20 artists. That's why all our independent focus is on what Blue Da Vinci gonna do. If he take off, then we take off. If he don't take off, then we don't want to take off. Simple.
The business that they chose to hide behind, to use as cover, was also an industry that was critical for improving their reputation and providing them with the social capital that they needed. And it created loyalty, it created a mystique, it created interest, and it provided a fantastic cover for them. It was totally realistic. When you see these guys and say, well, they're part of the music industry. They look the part, they act the part, they understand the culture of the hip-hop lifestyle. It's not like they were trying to open up, you know, a bunch of McDonald's or something like that.
And this BMF Entertainment thing is more than just a record label, production, some niggas doing music, or just some street niggas, man. This is really all about going state to state and linking up motherfuckers from the streets, man, from all over. No matter where you from,
no matter what you look like, how fat you are, or whatever. You know, niggas that got a little money and a lot of sense, man, we looking for. Let's start making some of these black dollars happen.
One of Big Meech's biggest self-proclaimed legacies was that he unified gangs from all over the country. Crips, Bloods, GDs, BPs. They all stood together underneath his black flag.
And we got all type of niggas around here. It's short niggas, tall niggas, bald niggas, light skin, dark skin, braids, dreads, fat, whatever you want. We do it all. We don't discriminate. Matter of fact, after you leave here, you end up getting your teeth on something and coming up with something better. You know what I'm saying? Like a new car, new house, maybe the kids get to go to school, private school, paid for, courtesy of the mob. You know what I'm saying? We pay. You know, that's simple. A lot of niggas don't like to spend their money. We love to spend our money. We can't take none of this shit with us.
This phenomenon is a testament to how BMF grew.
Most guys who want to establish a drug empire, they're going to go off of the stereotype of what you believe you have to do to get there. And part of that is the violence.
With daily images of cartel-related bloodshed being broadcast from the southern borders and gang violence running rampant in our own cities, we have an immediate prejudice that the drug trade goes hand in hand with violence. Meech and Terry took a different approach to extend their reach. Upon entering new territories, they presented themselves as businessmen, and through diplomacy, they created alliances with existing criminal entities.
They kept their eye on the ball. Because, you know, you get enough bodies laying around, and law enforcement attention is going to come your way probably faster than when there's not that type of activity.
In a way, that's what made them so successful, because they never engaged in a lot of violence, so that the attention was never drawn to them in the way that it might be to another group of people.
As much as Meech was a natural negotiator, the bottom line was probably the most persuasive element in BMF's success. With their vast supply, the brothers offered kilos of coke for only 17 grand, $2,000 to $3,000 less than their competitors.
Uncle Duty, wrong phone.
Huh?
Wrong phone. What up, though?
What up? Hey, didn't give you the new chip to the new phone? Flip this for me, bro.
My new check. Which one? The last one I got?
Flip that for me. Put it in the big. The new chip. What you do with the phone that I gave you?
Oh, yeah, I still got it. No, he ain't give it to me. He said he couldn't get a hold of Doug or some bullshit, and I had to leave.
You got the old phone?
Yeah.
You got it on you?
Yeah, I ain't got no time on it, though. You told me to burn out the time.
Often, while we were intercepting Terry talking on a particular phone, he would be using push-to-talk phones in the background, having other conversations. So he had multiple phones going at any one time, and then of course had a reserve of phones for him and his organization members. So about the best thing we could do was, as Terry would transition from one phone to another, was to try to keep pace and spin to the next phone. And we successfully did that with about 3 of Terry's phones.
The DEA sat back and listened for 5 months as Terry laid out the foundations of their investigation.
It is from this monitoring that we're able to find out information about the participants or co-conspirators. We're also able to determine whether or not there's any drug activity taking place.
We were able to listen to Terry direct the driver to take some kilograms of coke down to Louisville, Kentucky for distribution. That aided us in conducting a traffic stop and seizing 10 kilos in that particular load vehicle.
This case could have ended with the wiretap on Terry's phone. DEA had him directing a guy to take the dope down south. They intercepted that car, got the dope. There was a decision made, DEA, IRS, and with the blessings of the prosecutor's office, that, you know, we're going to take it as far as we can go. You know, we're going to identify all the members of this organization. We're going to identify all the people who are helping them launder their money. And that's what happened.
Over the course of 5 months, the DEA compiled over 900 pages of transcripts from Terry's phone calls, but there was not one phone call between Terry and Meech.
Terry used to like to dilute and reconstitute his kilograms, stretching the number of kilograms to increase his profits, while Meech's theory was don't sit on it, move it, and he enjoyed a reputation of distributing very pure kilograms. So on the street, Terry's cocaine was referred to as Moet, not bad champagne, but Meech is referred to as Cristal, top shelf champagne. A couple of months before we initiated our wiretap in April of 2004, while Demetrius was on house arrest down in the Atlanta area, his underboss, Chad Brown, was going around talking to Terry's customers saying, Terry's dope is no good. He dilutes it, it's poor quality, you should be buying dope from Demetrius and our side. That upset Terry very much. So Terry took a group of individuals and confronted Chad Brown in a house that was full of girls, his friends, and embarrassed him, and was screaming and yelling, waving the gun around, accusing him of attacking Terry's livelihood. Demetrius believed that Terry should have had that conversation with him out of loyalty for his side of the organization. He said, Terry may be my brother, but we're done. And it probably was the reason that we were unable to identify a phone for Demetrius and never successfully intercepted any of his phone calls.
We coming in at the top of the game. We got all the cars we want, all the houses we want, all the clothes we want, all the jewelry we want, and all the hoes we want. And we don't need nothing else but to make good music.
By 2004, Meech had solidified himself as a public figure. He was actively sponsoring young rappers in and around Atlanta.
His father was a musician. He surrounded himself with musicians. I think that he had a genuine love of the rap scene in Atlanta in particular, which was blowing up in a big way at the time, in large part thanks to his willingness to sort of sponsor rappers. He really did think that if he could get one big break on his record label, that he might be able to stop with the illegal stuff. Maybe that's not reality, but that's what he said.
Meech pumped excessive amounts of money into Blue's hip-hop career, believing that his financial backing could launch a young rapper into stardom. At a time when most record labels were faltering and budgets for music videos were being trimmed, Meech spent a little over $500,000 on a little-known track, We're Still Here.
Instead of getting 5 artists, put 100,000 apiece into each one of those artists, and you're doing everything small. If you put the whole $1 million or $500,000 behind Blue Da Vinci, now you got a big project, it looks big, and everything bubble. But if you just put 100,000 between these 5 artists, and you got a cheap project, nobody may not recognize none of the 5.
Yo, BMF Entertainment is in the house, you guys. If y'all haven't seen it, you just don't know.
The hype seemed to have an impact. BMF's image, street credibility, and apparent success attracted many rising artists. Blue Da Vinci was seen in many music videos with Young Jeezy and Fabulous, and he was regularly collaborating with known acts including Jadakiss and Nelly.
Understand something, nigga. It's a real movement going on right here. Young Blue Da Vinci, Young Jeezy, Baby D, and the rest of the motherfuckers that roll with the BMF Entertainment Squadron, nickel.
There was an intercepted call between Terry Flenory and his sister, and Terry poured his heart out to his sister. He was very frustrated with Demetrius, very angry over their split. He was very concerned that Demetrius's flamboyant lifestyle was going to cause law enforcement to identify what they were doing and bring heat on the whole organization and bring them down. The irony of it was that Terry's calls were being intercepted by DEA.
How you doing today, son? What up? I still feel like I'm on a tight task. When you got pulled over, you gave me your real name? I gave him everything, and you know what he gave me a problem about? That Ken. What Ken? About over there. About that other situation. Yeah, that's what they said. They sent the people to the house about that. Yeah, because he went real crazy over that, too. But he was mad because he couldn't stand nothing. That's why he did that, too. All right, so I know what to do for that. Okay, thank you, sir. All right.